This is David Hogg.
David Hogg, press secretary for March for Our Lives.
He's a survivor of the Parkland massacre, and he's become one of the most recognizable faces in the movement for gun control. He's also probably one of the most vilified people in right-wing media right now.
It's literally been about 6 weeks, and I'm already being compared to Hitler.
Google Hogg's name, and you'll find sites accusing him of being a crisis actor, an FBI plant, a brainwashed hate monger, a fascist.
I can't really even think of the top 5 because there's about 50 million.
If I experienced even a fraction of that, I would collapse into a puddle of soy milk. But rather than crumbling under the pressure, Hogg and his friends have flourished, keeping their cause in the national spotlight while repeatedly dunking on their critics. So, David, how do you deal with all the bullshit?
The guy is a David Hogg who started off as this balanced, nice kid, and he's just now become a real bomb thrower. Someone like this, I think, isn't helping the conversation.
To David 6 weeks ago, I would say get some more coffee and get an external charger. You're gonna need it.
It's kind of hard to believe, but just a few months ago, David Hogg was a typical nerdy high school kid. A debater, his school's news director, an amateur video producer, and like any good nerd journalist, Hogg knew a bit about the right-wing fever swamp.
Before all of this, I did know who Alex Jones was. I did know who Laura Ingraham was. Well, actually, I didn't know who Laura was. But I did know who Alex Jones was because of all the insane things that he said to the Sandy Hook survivors.
That background ended up coming in handy. After the Parkland shooting, Hogg and his friends became central figures in the debate over gun control. And that made them prime targets for the right-wing smear machine.
Forgive me if I don't want a lesson on the Second Amendment from a 16-year-old.
If you're too immature to carry a firearm, you're too immature to make policy.
What a conceited, arrogant, know-it-all. It's hard not to just go after this kid.
Authoritarianism is always about youth marches.
These poor children, they have no soul.
Hogg is funded by George Soros, a literal Nazi collaborator.
Honestly, I figured a lot more of our attacks would be against our policies, not really against me.
The most notable of these have been the conspiracy theories.
On social media, right-wing conspiracy theories going viral about David Hogg.
Falsely accused survivor David Hogg of being a crisis actor. That video was viewed more than 200,000 times before it was taken down.
And when I ask Hogg about those, he's visibly frustrated.
I literally interviewed people in the school during the shooting thinking I was going to fucking die. I don't know how else to prove to these people that I was there because I was.
This is how the right-wing smear machine works. By bombarding the target with a flood of ridiculous but inflammatory personal attacks. Victims can either ignore the smears and risk becoming defined by them, or they can try to respond, burning a ton of time and energy trying to keep up with each new attack. Either way, the target's original message gets lost. The smear ends up becoming the story. It's like a never-ending game of bullshit whack-a-mole.
No matter what I show, it's always going to be, oh, that's false, or oh, it's insane.
You can see the toll that trying to keep up with all this stuff has taken on Hogg. But then something happens.
Gotta breathe.
Hogg catches himself, and for the rest of the interview, he's way more relaxed.
They've gone from saying that I wasn't at the school at the time to saying that I'm a crisis actor, to saying that I'm a 27-year-old that has a facelift, to saying that I'm actually 135 years old and that I'm a shape-shifting lizard, essentially.
But is it true? Is any of it true?
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but last time I checked, getting a facelift doesn't make your acting career any better. So
that moment, that breathe, is really important. Hogg realizes he's getting caught up in the bullshit and decides not to take the bait.
I'm a debate kid, and I've always been made fun of throughout my life. I'm used to it, and a lot of us are too, sadly.
Yeah, I feel that.
If you continue to pursue whatever path they're leading you down, which is a dead end, it's gonna end up distracting you and draining your resources, and you don't need that.
Instead of playing whack-a-mole, the Parkland students have chosen to pick their battles, engaging their trolls strategically. One of the most notable ways they do this is through humor.
Some of them have called you actors.
Well, I am an actor, actually. I'm in Spring Awakening right now.
We just joke around a lot. And that's how we're dealing with a lot of this and kind of coping in it in some weird way.
Look at the Twitter feeds of many of the Parkland survivors and you'll find them using humor to respond to their critics, turning smears and conspiracy theories into jokes that get them thousands of retweets.
At this point, it's just, oh God, it's so stupid. It is funny for all of us to witness the ridiculousness of the situation.
Laughing it off is a coping mechanism, for sure. But Hogg says it's also a good PR move.
Laughing it off is great because it keeps you in the news more. Not only do you get a laugh, but your followers get a laugh, and you get a follow too.
Laughing it off also works because it lets students respond to their critics without giving them too much credit.
When you're laughing, you're showing that you you don't care. And it makes people realize how ridiculous these individuals are because they're only going to be taken seriously if you take them seriously.
That approach works well when you're dealing with fringe commentators, like Alex Jones.
Serious crap.
People who are already ripe for mockery.
I don't want to see him kissing goblins, having political succubus with goblins, ingratiating goblins.
But sometimes the troll isn't some fringe person you can laugh at. Sometimes it's the host of a major television talk show, like Fox News' Laura Ingraham, who in March decided to mock Hogg on Twitter for getting turned down by a few colleges. In cases like that, Hogg responds a little differently.
I was actually sitting at dinner with my sister and I was thinking about it for a minute. My friends have responded planning maybe I just should lay off, and then I'm like, I'm too petty for that.
Hogg responded by tweeting a list of Laura Ingram's advertisers, and before long, he had tens of thousands of retweets.
What's the one thing that's common in all conflict? Economics. What does Laura care about more than anything? Her $4 million salary.
Within 24 hours, major advertisers had yanked their ads from Ingram's show. Ingram publicly apologized, quote, in the spirit of Holy Week. And Hogg got another round of earned national media coverage for his cause.
What I want to get on from is the negativity in this situation, and I want to focus on what's ahead for our movement.
You don't need to go after these people personally because that's just immature and that's what they're trying to do to you. Go after their advertisers and them making money.
This is a David and Goliath story. It appears David has won.
Before we ended our interview, I asked Hogg what advice he'd give to other activists, especially students, who might find themselves in the crosshairs of the right-wing smear machine.
Whenever somebody calls you a dick or whatever, just say I love you, honestly. That's what this world needs. We don't need anybody else being super mean to each other like Laura was to me or anybody else. Point out the few that are just absolutely ridiculous, and after that, people will start fighting for you because you shouldn't have to, obviously.
Yeah, they shouldn't. It is deeply disturbing that teenagers who survived a mass shooting have to worry about how to deal with this stuff. But under the weight of intense media attention and pressure, these students are putting on a masterclass in how to deal with bullies.